Christian, thanks so much for doing this, and it's really nice to meet you properly.
Of course,
And
man.
thank you for
Thank
doing the
you.
self-tape challenge the first time around. I enjoyed your
Yeah,
tape, and I just think everyone else enjoyed your tape too on TikTok. So
that was awesome. It was much needed. There wasn't much happening, and I needed like that audition outlet, and it popped out on TikTok, like with the algorithm,
hmm,
it just popped out of
it,
nowhere.
it
It was
just
great.
knew, so
That's
it
right.
gave you the opportunity.
That's right.
Um, and I actually went to your IMDb, and I was like, man, you got 48 credits, something like that.
Yeah.
So talk to me
Yeah.
about that. How long have you been doing this for? Like, how long have you been in the industry?
So I moved out here from DC about 10 years ago. And yeah, I didn't have any prospects. I had no clue what I was doing. I had no business being here. And I just hit the ground running, I guess. I moved out with two friends of mine from college. We all had the same idea. Um, and then man, it just kind of snowballs. I mean, we immediately started taking classes and doing workshops and hunting for agents, which is nearly impossible. And then, yeah, we just people took a chance, and then you just kind of climb the ladder. And I'm still climbing the ladder. I have a long way to go, but it's been good. It's been yeah, it's been a journey, man.
So when you first moved out to it's LA, right?
Hmm.
When you first moved out to LA, what was the very first thing you did? You said you went to classes and stuff, but what was the first gig that you got?
First thing that I did was find a job at Mexicali in the Valley, which is a Mexican restaurant. And then I went to Beverly Hills Playhouse. And then after I got an agent, it took forever. I did a bunch of showcases, and nobody cares. If you don't have credits, nobody cares. They're like, well, yeah, I mean, like, I'm like, I just got here. I kind of need you to get those credits. And they're like, sorry. You're like, okay, thanks for having me in. But so finally, based off of like a monologue, I think I did like Goodwill Hunting, like that monologue where he's talking to the guy from the NSA.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. And my manager, who's currently my manager right now, yeah, that's crazy, for the last 10 years, took a chance and then got me my agent. And then my agent, the first thing I ever booked was this show called Neighbors, I think. And it was, I don't even remember, man. I had like one line. I was I was so excited because it was like a network show. And I got to go on set. I think it was Warner Brothers. And I think I say like shut the hell up or something. Like it's nothing. But I was just like, oh my God, I'm a real actor. And yeah, that was the first thing I did. And that was just a co-star. And then it's been relative, there's been ups and downs, but it's been consistent of like building on the co-stars, and then you get the guest stars, and then you get the recurring, and in between you're doing other things. But yeah, I'm very like thankful and like grateful for the work that I've gotten. um but I would say that, man, 10 years, I feel like I've just now, like, not figured it out, but like I've just now, like, I have enough under my belt to where I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is, I know I can do it. I have a lot of self-doubt here and there, and it's crazy amount of rejection constantly, but you know it's crazy to say, and it's crazy for me to think about right now, but after 10 years, I'm like, all right, all right, let's go. Like,
You feel
finally.
comfortable, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
would you say that's the process of auditioning and just going through the motions of like being on set, or what do you feel most comfortable with at this point? Like, what makes you feel like I'm ready?
um Gosh, it's just like, yeah, I guess I mean, you fail, like, you get on set, and like I said, I always felt like, man, I shouldn't be here. Like, what am I doing? Like, I booked something, an HBO show called The Brink, And it was like with Tim Robbins and Carla Gugino and Jack Black. And I was like, this is, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I'm a fraud. Like, I shouldn't be with these like masters. And like, and I did a horrible scene. Like, I just felt so restricted, and I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. And I was like, just do the lines exactly how you set out to do them. And it was like the worst thing that I could have done. But I learned a lot from that, because I could just tell Tim Robbins was like, hey man, relax, like let it go. Like, your lines, just have fun with it. At this point, like, we got the take, just stop doing the same thing. And so you fail, I consider that a fail, but obviously it's a win as well, because, I immediately learned, like, auditioning and the set life, like once you get on set, they're two very separate beasts. And there's so much more freedom when you get on set, because you're collaborating. And yeah, a lot of little things along the way like that, to where now I could say, okay, I can walk on a set, and I'm going to know what I'm doing, and I'm going to have fun with it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but hopefully the director is going to know that, and going to, help me out along the way. And typically that's what happens. But I'm going to try things. And that's, I don't know, that's been the most freeing thing. And so that's what I mean by finally I feel like, okay, I can walk onto any set and at least have that confidence.
And that's just experience, right? That's just learning and feeling like I don't have to get everything perfect. These people are here to help me. I'm collaborating. Like, I'm here to have fun. Like, let's not stress about it too much. Like, what happens, happens, and it's on tape.
Exactly. And they want you to have fun. They want you, because like, I think Jack Nicholson said, like, 85% of the game is just relaxing, like being relaxed. And it's true. Like, it's just, as long as you do the work and you carve out your scene and you take it seriously, and you get on set and you have those lines down, you got to let it go. And you have to be like, you have to have some freedom with it, because I think you even said in one of your TikToks, it's like the worst thing you can do is like pigeonhole yourself to those lines, and just stay in those parameters, because that's boring, and it's just not going to work. And so I'm trying to do that more.
It's great. And everyone has to learn that. Everyone feels like an imposter. Everyone feels like I don't fit in. And you have to go through that. Like, you feel bad for going through that, but because you go through that, you get to the point that you are at now, where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable. I know, like, you probably see it in other actors too, who are on set for the first time, and you can probably pass on that experience to them, just by like Tim Robbins did to you, or whoever it was, just saying, hey man, relax. Like, we got this. We're all here to, like, something I've said recently is like, there's no right and wrong. Like, you feel like what you're doing is wrong, but it's not, because you can get to a point where you're having fun. You're not worrying about the line so much. And that's also something down to the director. Like, if you have a good director, I'm sure that you found that they can help you chill out about it.
Yeah. 100%.
And so with your manager, like you said, you had your manager for 10 years, right? You got the same manager.
Same agent too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool, because that's a really, like, that sounds like a really good working relationship. Like, how does that work? And how did you feel when they first hired you? And what was that first meeting like? And then how did you go from there?
The first meeting was the initial one where they were like, they saw me in a showcase, which they used to do out in LA before the pandemic. I don't even know if they're trying to do those anymore. But that was where you would, like, there'd be a panel of managers and agents, and you'd go and you'd do a scene, or you'd do a monologue in front of them, and then they would call you if they liked your work. And so I would go in, and I did the monologue, and they were like, yeah, we like, you can act, let's put you on the roster, and let's get you out there, and then let's hook you up with an agent. That they got me my agent. And that's the same kind of deal, actually, is I got in with my agent currently, Julie Smith, and I sat down with her, and I think I can't remember what I did. I did a scene, a reading with her, like a cold read, I believe it was. and she was like, yeah, I like your look, you know, you seem hungry, she was like, obviously you're green, because I didn't have any credits and I didn't know what I was doing. But that was where they took a chance on me. I knew they were invested in my acting and not just like, you know, sticking me on a shelf and seeing what sticks. You know, like a lot that happens a lot, where people just based on their headshot, they're pretty, right? So they, you know, they'll get hired on by these big agencies, and then the agencies will be like, okay, let's throw them into like, you know, pilot season and just see if they can hit, and if they don't hit, shelf them. And I didn't want to do that. And so I heard that was like, you know, a big warning out here. So I went with the smaller boutique agencies and manager, and I'm still with them, you know, because I know they are invested in my talent and in me,
Mhm.
and that goes a long way out here for sure.
That sounds like a really smart decision, because I'm sure, like you say, that people just get run through off a look, and they
Yeah,
can get mismanaged. And a lot of people probably feel disheartened because they get to a point where they're an agent like that and they go, what am I doing wrong? And
exactly.
it's not really their fault
It's not
ultimately.
at all. And that's the thing, is there's so much opportunity, and you know, it's really exciting to have CAA or William Morris look at you or take you on. That's the best of the best, you know. Of course I would love to have that opportunity, but I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who are newer, who are green, who come in and get signed, get picked up. Like maybe they have a lot of like, social media followers, and they just get picked up by these agencies, and then nothing happens. But they're like, no, I don't want to leave CAA because that looks good, but I'm not getting any auditions.
Hmm.
And so I was like, no, I'd much rather like, you know, build up my resume and go in for everything until I feel like, okay, I have a great reel, great resume, and like I'm ready for whatever comes my way.
Yeah, and let's talk about auditions a bit, because, like you say, not everyone gets auditions. But what was the first audition experience like, and how has the audition experience changed for you over time, especially with self tapes and things like that?
Oh, I hate auditioning so much. No, it's just, gosh, man, before self tapes, I don't know. It was hard. It's just really hard, you know. You're driving around to God knows where, and you can't find parking, and then you sit in a waiting room with 50 other guys who are looked like your doppelganger, and then you walk into a room and there's a bunch of people with notepads judging you from the moment you walk in. uh, and I hated that. I really hated that. And you know, I was also just, I was just nervous. I was so nervous, and that got better over time. But I'm still nervous to this day when I go in for like callbacks and stuff, because it's a lot. Like you're getting judged, but you're not. You know, that's the thing. Like you think like, oh my God, this is the scariest thing in the world, and it's not. They want you to do well. You know that. Like you want to find your guy. Like they want it to be a free, relaxed environment, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. But um, yeah, you know, it's different. It's a different, like I said before, it's you have a reader, and sometimes that reader's giving you nothing. And it's like you said, actually, this was like a really big thing for me that really kind of changed my audition process, was the distractions and the eye lines are huge. And you know, I've been out here for a long time, and I just started getting really stuck on that eye contact, because everybody's like, it's all in the eyes, but and it is like the eyes are, you know, the window to the soul, as everybody says. But it's important to know that, like I think you said in one of your videos, in real life, we're not doing that. I mean, I'm looking all over the place. I'm distracted. I'm thinking, and then I'm engaged with you. And I was getting so stuck in, uh, you know, I just hold the eye contact, and so that really freed up a lot. And now with self tapes, you know, it's it's easier, but it's also different because you get to do as many takes as you want, which I don't know if that's good for me. And that sometimes I overthink that, but I do love being able to do them from anywhere and have the freedom, like not having to travel. And I think it's like I loved going in because you could form a more personal relationship with the casting directors. But I also love, I think I love self tapes more just because I'm able to like find things and there's not so much pressure, you know. Uh,
There's
Obviously, there's not
freedom.
so much pressure. Yeah,
There's freedom. You have less time constraint. Like, I think you're able
exactly.
to also form a relationship with the casting director via your work. Like, if you do a good self tape, they'll remember that and get you back for another one and another one after that. So,
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, lots of
I
people
think
do
my
like,
biggest, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of people do like auditioning in the room because they think, okay, I want to really become friends with the casting director or the people who are ever casting, the casting associate. But self tapes are good because they let you make creative choices and they let you do things that you wouldn't be able to do or you might not have thought of before because you've got like a whole afternoon to record. I'm not saying that's a good thing. Sometimes it's good to just do 2 or 3 takes and then leave it because generally lots of
Hmm.
people do a great first take and then that's it. Like that's the one.
That's
I
so
can't tell you
real.
how many
Yeah.
people have sent me self tapes over the last few months and they've said, oh, I've got like 3 takes of this, which one's the best one? And it's like almost always the first one.
Oh, it's crazy how that happens, man. I always go back. I'm like, yeah, this is really refined, but there's something about the first one that's way more raw. And then I'm just like, oh, just obviously pick that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah,
another
you're
thing.
right.
Like actors have to choose which take they send as well. It's not down to the casting director anymore. It's down to
Nah,
you as the actor because you got 1 take or at best 2, and that's it. Like you got to choose.
I know, man. It's different. And I don't know. I'm figuring it out. There's tricks and stuff that are helpful. Like I used to just have this little white sheet in the back, and I just recently got a blue, like a really nice blue tarp, and it just kind of set everything off. And I pop more, just like little things like that. And I got a ring light that really changed like the lighting for me. Lighting's really important, I think, and audio. I think audio was a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's something that I wanted to ask you because this is something that I keep. It's just like a little nugget in my brain. And you've talked about being free, and the worst thing that you can do is make your audition perfect. But what is your take on um, sticking to the words on the page and like really, like not so much the punctuation, but the words? Because I know a lot of writers are like, no, and then once you get on set, there's a line supervisor who's always like, you missed
Mm-hmm.
this or you missed and so what is your
Honestly,
take
it
on that?
depends who you're working with, and I'd say on set, probably like you're going to stick to the what's on the page most of the time. 99% of the time, I'm sure you'll come across directors who are like, yeah, I like that. We can change that. But in an audition, I think and again, it depends who you're auditioning for, but if you
Right.
change a word here or there, it's not bad. You don't have to
Yeah.
go 100% to the script, but I don't think you can go like crazy. I don't think you can, unless they ask you to improv something, I wouldn't go crazy. As long as the word is the same, like has the same intention as the word that was on the page, it's not too big of a deal. And as I've said to other people, it's sometimes it will snap the person who's watching it out of the rhythm of the scene because they go, oh, he said something different or he had a certain different intonation than what everyone else is doing because he didn't follow the punctuation. And that does help. It does help you get remembered. And if someone, in my opinion, if someone's like going to say no to you based off you changing a word, not worth it. Like they're not the right person to be judging what you're doing anyway, because who
That's
cares?
helpful.
Because
Yeah, you're right.
in my opinion, who cares? Like if you change 2 or 3 words, it's not a big deal.
Mm-mm.
And
Okay,
yeah,
that's good
that's what I was
advice.
saying
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
I
No,
mean, it's
that's
not
and it's
universal. It's not universal, but it's good
no, but
from someone who's seen auditions over and over again. It certainly helps sometimes.
Yeah, and you mentioned in your TikToks, the energy and the pacing is really important. And I think that sometimes I have a tendency to overthink that. Um, and I'm starting to have a little bit of difficulty finding the right pacing. But what is in terms of like approaching that, would you say like just study the tone of the show, or is it more of a feel thing?
Well, what's your issue with the pacing? Are you going too fast? Are you going too slow? You feel like you're thinking about it too much overall? Like,
Sometimes I feel like I'm going too slow because, you real conversations, it's just like observing human behavior and real conversations. It's just, I'm always like that. It's so much more like,
mhm.
not ping pong dialogue like Sorkin, but um, it is faster. And so I'm starting to maybe overthink that.
Generally, I would advise people to go faster, but especially inexperienced actors because they go slower. Like just
Hmm.
as a general rule of thumb, inexperienced and beginner actors do go slower because they think I have to. I don't know what it is that what causes that, but I think they feel like it's more dramatic if it's slower. And I don't think
If
they're
it's
really
slower.
thinking about the pacing. I just think they're not thinking
Yeah.
about like real life and how real conversations go. And it's the same with their actions too. A lot of people who start off acting who or even a couple of years in, they do everything very labored and on screen it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a byproduct of theater training, something like that. But
Right.
it is
Right.
important to find moments of stillness too. Like it has to, you can go fast, but then can have a moment of stillness, and that's really interesting.
Hmm.
So if you're thinking like, oh, I feel like I'm going a bit too slow, try going faster and see how it feels, and then like backpedal if it feels like it's too fast. You watch your back and you go, oh no, I feel like I'm rushing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about finding a middle ground.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. That's great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I also did want to talk about TikTok and social media and content creation. Like you started something, is it with one of your friends, the
Yeah.
TikTok account?
Yeah. We just, gosh, we got on TikTok because we used to make these YouTube videos, and we had this sketch group, just me and the two guys I moved out here with. It was called Mr. Good Boyfriend Comedy, and it's just, I mean, it's just sketches that it's like kind of like everyday life that we kind of embellished or just stuck to. And we were on YouTube, and it never did anything, but it was a really good creative outlet for us when, you're not, as an actor out here, sometimes there are no auditions, and it is really difficult to book anything. So we started doing, um, just making our own stuff, and that's where I learned a ton, just working with my best friends, because we automatically have this chemistry, and there is a flow state that you kind of get into when you're acting. And I kind of lost sight of that, and once I started working on these videos with the guys, I got that back, and it was, I don't know, it was very liberating, and I learned a lot from just making my own stuff, writing our own stuff. A lot of, like, it's all comedy based, and just learning different beats and what works and what doesn't. And then with TikTok, we were like, might as well parlay to TikTok and just do like short form stuff, and people liked it. We got a little bit of a following, and um, yeah, once again, I'm not like the biggest social media guy. In fact, I'm probably pretty bad at social media, but it was just a fun place where we had more creative opportunities, and just able to, like, you know work on our own thing. And I think that's important. If you're gonna pursue this gig, it's important to do your own stuff. I would recommend anybody who's starting out to just make your own stuff constantly.
I 100% agree. It's something I've said over and over again. It's like, don't wait to be picked, create your own
Right.
content because you'll learn so
Yeah.
much by doing it. And then when opportunities come around, like it's a win-win basically because you have the experience of doing that. Then also you have the following, or you have, not even if you have a following, like you just have that to show to somebody.
Yeah,
you have something to show, you have like you're keeping yourself busy too at the same time. Like you say, if nothing's happening, like don't wait around. Like you've there's only so much time you have, and I'm not saying go out and rush and do things, but it's important to build up experiences, and especially making stuff with your friends is probably going to be some of the most fun you'll ever have. Making stuff, like
it
it's
is.
completely freeing to not be on set and not have to worry about like a script supervisor or a director, or like this is going to be really important because it's going to be on TV. But and
Right.
sometimes you'll the work that you've done on TikTok or sketches you've done is going to be seen by more people anyway. So
Exactly. Why not? You never know. That's another thing, is like you never know what's going to come out of it.
got no
And
idea. Like
you
I
got,
wouldn't be talking to
yeah,
you if we
that's
hadn't been on
right. Yeah,
TikTok. So
100%. That's right. And yeah, your video for the one of your videos just popped up on my page. The algorithm is scary. I think that TikTok is like listening to us, but that's another story. But yeah, I wouldn't have run into you, man. And you've been super helpful. And I've learned, and that's another thing, is like there's so much information now. There's so many different like platforms. Like the opportunity is there. And 50 years ago, 40 years ago, it wasn't like that. But we have access to all the equipment, the internet. It's a game changer. So I think it's really important.
and also that kind of old school style of auditioning that you were talking about, where it's like 50 people who all look the same and you all
Yeah.
go and get judged by everyone. Like you don't have to do that anymore. If you really don't
No.
want to, if it's not for you, like don't do it. You can do other things, like you can create your own work and find a way into the industry some other way. Like obviously you have
Exactly.
credits now and
Exactly.
you've gone through that experience, so it's not a bad thing. But to anyone who's
Yeah.
starting out and they feel
No,
like,
I
oh,
hated it.
that's not really for me, like I don't want to do that, that's fine. You don't have to do it. You can act in other things, like do things
Yeah.
yourself, or build relationships with other people like different ways. So yeah.
Yeah. So the three of us actually, we like wrote and made our own pilot. And we finished it in March of last year, and then we were gonna pitch it and like try to shop it around, and everybody was like, "Don't you dare! The world is on fire. You have to put this on the shelf." So, but like we have that, and it probably took us like 6 weeks, but we now we have something where we can like say, okay, this is what we got, this is what we want to present, and it's the whole package. Like you don't have to like read our script and say, oh, we don't really get it. Like you see our chemistry, and we have that in our catalog. So
Mhm.
it's something that we can always go back to.
Always good to have something to show rather than just say like this is what it's going to be. If people can see it
Yeah,
before they can actually like read it, then
it's huge, because
you're
we
already
tried
ahead.
for so long with like scripts and stuff, and people were like, we don't know you, and like, we don't are you even capable of acting? And it's like, well, yeah, we are, but wait, we don't have anything to show you. So yeah, no,
That's
it's
why I
it's
encourage
it's
people to
awesome.
do their own things, because like if you can show someone, if you can demonstrate it before they read your script or they even get you in for an audition, that is huge.
Yeah,
Because just
massive,
making their life
massive.
easier, because they go, how do I know that I can trust you? Ultimately it's all a trust
And that's the
game. And
biggest thing, right? Like for you, like that's, you can be like, oh, this guy's really good in his audition, but like, can we trust him to like, this role is substantial, can we trust him with this role? It's a big responsibility.
mhm,
Yeah.
that's why those initial experiences are really important too. Like having those one liners, telling someone to shut the hell up is really important, because it
Well, I don't
makes
know about
it makes casting
that.
directors trust you, because they go, okay, he's been
Yeah.
on set, like I can at least expect him to be good enough to go again, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a lot of people shy away from, I have a lot of buddies out here who were like, nah, I don't want to do co-stars, and like maybe I'll do some guest stars, but like I just want to get on set, and like I want to be like a series regular or at least recurring. And I think that's bad. I think you're really like holding yourself back. Um, I don't believe in that. And I think that as long as you do the work and it's good work, people start to recognize that, and you can build on that.
and all it takes is one gig or one experience to really explode you, right? So someone like Dean Norris from Breaking Bad, like he was a cop for, he was in small roles as cops for 20 years or something crazy, like
Is that
15 years
right?
before he got to, yeah, you'd go back through his credits, like in the early days, like small roles, like cops, cops, cops. And then all it takes is
Dude, I didn't know that.
one amazing role to
That's
just
cool. I love him.
take you to the next level.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. I thought, man, I mean, he's like one of the best actors on the show, and that's saying a lot, but that's cool.
Yeah. And so what do you like, what do you want to work on moving forwards? Like obviously it sounds like your friends or people that you know have like overshot what they like want to do, but what is your like aspiration? What are your goals? Like you've written a pilot, where do you want to go?
Yeah, I love working with the guys. If I could do anything, I think it would be some in some capacity, like being able to have that creative license to work with them and um, make our own stuff. I don't know what it would look like. I mean, it doesn't have to be on network television. I mean, like I said, there's so many different platforms right now. But I love that, so I'm gonna keep trying at that. And I mean, I really don't have any like. I just want to work. For now, I just want to work again, especially since like the last year has been really tough, and I felt like in 2020, at the beginning of 2020, I felt like, oh man, am I really like hitting, am I taking off here? Am I gonna like, I was on a show called Schooled on ABC, and they were talking about me into it more. And I'd done like 16 episodes, and it was really exciting, and really was working with amazing people like Tim Meadows and Brian Callen. And I was on set a lot all of a sudden. And then from that, I booked an ABC pilot, and it was so cool. The cast was amazing, and I was just like, man, like, oof, like get ready, like you don't know what could happen. This pilot could get picked up, and you could be on two shows, and you could be working. Like you better like get serious. And obviously with the pandemic, everything fell through. But that was where I was like, okay, I got there at least, like, because you're like, am I able to carry a show, or like, and even now I'm like, I don't know, but I got to the series regular, and people trusted me to do it, so I know I'm capable of this, and I'm gonna like chase it as long as it takes. And yeah, man, I don't know what the future holds, but auditions are picking up, and I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, and I think you also have to remember, from your point of view, that everyone else has gone through the same thing. Like this thing,
100%.
this has been only happening for 12 months. Like go back to 12 months is not a long time, honestly. If you go back and you get
Mm-mm.
into that mindset of like, all right, let's just erase that last year or however long it's been, and just I'm still there. Like you got there, you still
Yeah.
are there. Like it's important to understand that you got to that point already. So you're not
Yeah,
starting off from
100%.
zero. Like you still got that experience, you still got all that stuff in the bank. So
And that's the thing, like like you just said, you'll lose, you're gonna lose a lot in this game. And you get close, you'll get really, really close to life-changing stuff, like potentially
happens to
life-changing stuff.
everyone, lots of people.
Everyone. Yeah. And in anything, and it's just, you gotta have thick skin. And I really just think persistence. I've just noticed that persistence is everything, because, like I said, I've been out here for 10 years, and I just now am feeling like I'm figuring it out. And so many of my friends out here that I was like in acting class with, they just, they're like, I gave myself a 5-year timeline, or I gave myself however long, and that's just, I don't know. You just can't do that. You can't. If you really love it, you got to go for it, because it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's all about patience. Like I don't know why someone, I know why people would, but giving yourself a 5-year window for something that could eventually last a lifetime, like what's the point in that? You got to
Yeah, I
really,
don't get that.
if you don't love it, that's fine. But if you do love it, why would you stop? Like you're gonna be
Exactly.
acting anyway, so keep doing it. Um,
Yes.
yeah, patience is key, and like you honestly, you don't know where it's going to go. Like you could get something in 5 years time that propels your career, or something that you get regularly. If you're not worried about the money, or you feel like, okay, I got to settle down and get serious with my life and get a stable job, like not everyone wants that. I know I don't want that.
Mm-mm.
So it's all
No,
about what
I
you want to do. Like
can't
you got to be
fathom it.
passionate about it.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's everything, right? And I guess it's not. It's a lot of self doubt and anxiety and rejection. But when you, there's nothing better and nothing more like gratifying than when you get the work and you get to go on set. Um, and it's just, yeah, if it's something that you want to do and you love that feeling, then just keep going. Yeah.
I feel like for someone like you, it's about doing it as well. So
Yeah.
what I would say to you is don't worry about like what's coming up, or like what the audition process is going to be like. Don't worry about being picked, because you're in it for the actually doing it part. So
Right.
if you're doing that no matter what, you'd be happy doing it for just yourself. Like if you were doing just YouTube, or you were just doing TikTok, or you were doing like, does it ultimately have to go onto a network TV? Because the way that we consume content is so different now. Like obviously you're getting the paycheck of working on a show that's on TV all the time, and that's great. But the way that we consume content is going to change so vastly over the next
100%.
five
Yeah.
to 10 years. Like I don't know how long network TV shows are going to be around for. I feel like it's just going to be Netflix and Amazon
That's
Prime
true.
for the rest of the time.
I know.
So, and that's a
That's
completely
right.
different ball game. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like my advice to someone like you would be to just keep doing it and enjoy doing it, and then good things will happen off the back of it.
No, I love that. Yeah. And it's easy to, like you said, because it's like I'm getting up there now, 10 years out here, and it's easy to think like, you get scared because it's there is no security, there is no certainty. But yeah, that's good, man. I lose sight of that sometimes, of just like, because the happiest that I've ever been is just doing, creating content with my best friends. And uh yeah, no, that's, you're absolutely right.
And circling back to the pacing, I noticed in your stuff's quite fast. So just remember to like feel get that feel in your auditions too, because it works.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, so you mean like the TikToks or?
Yeah, like think about
Yeah.
how fast you're going, and the like the edits and things like that. Like that's gonna work on screen no matter what, like what you're auditioning for. So keep that pacing up.
Yeah, you're
And I know
absolutely right.
the audition you did for my self tape challenge got a ton of views. Like I don't know what it's on, like 230,000, something like that.
Is that right? Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
on a lot, and I don't think it was like specifically fast, but I feel like it was broken up by a lot of the things that I've been talking about with the eyelines, distractions. Like you still
Yeah, that
did
was
have a good
actually the
pace.
first time I tried to do it, because that's when I saw your video, and then you put up the self tape challenge, and I was like, I'm gonna really implement that a lot more, and it helped. It just helps so much, man. Thank you for putting this content out there, because it's hard to, you don't get feedback, in your auditions. Like you don't hear back from castings, so it's really nice to have that outlet. it's
Hmm.
it's huge, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing another one soon, I think, and I feel like it's been
Yeah, I'd love to
a
do it.
good game changer for people, because they get to see how what everyone else does too. I mean, not everyone, because they get like 100 each time, but the fact that you get to see other people who've also got the exact same script do it,
Yeah.
like puts you in the mindset of the casting director when you're doing your auditions for other things too, because you're like, okay, I know kind of what's going to happen here, and I know that this is going to help me stand out, or this is going to differentiate me, or this is like
Right.
my version that I like, this is my qualities that I want to get across. So it's helpful for that.
Yeah, I love that. And it also helps that, because then you get to see that, oh, it's like you did a great job, you just aren't right for the role, for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, because it's so I do this all the time. Um, I'm like, oh my God, like I can't act, you know, like I go back to my tape and I'm like, I should have made different choices. Like what was I thinking? Like, this is terrible. But you know, that's just a horrible mindset. And
Mm.
that's just self-sabotaging. And you just gotta let it go, man. I gotta let it go more. Yeah, so no,
It
it's
sounds
been
like you just got
super.
to have more fun with it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why. It's like, I guess you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I gotta just let
I
it
feel like
go, do
sometimes
the
you just got
work.
to record it and like shoot it off and forget about it, because
Yeah,
people overthink it too much, and it comes across like when someone sent you a tape where you know that they're just trying to get it right or trying to get it perfect, or they've overthought it to the nth degree, doesn't help at the end of the day. It doesn't help either you or them.
yeah. No, that's that's so real, and I do that all the time. I think that's the biggest thing, the easiest thing to do in acting is overthink.
100%, because acting is thinking.
That's right. No, that's right. I love
Oh no,
that.
Christian, this has been really good to chat with you. I'm really happy that we got to talk about some of these things, because it's good to know that, I think it's good for other people to know too, that someone who's been doing it for 10 years has all the same stresses and anxieties and like hopes and dreams as everyone else. So I
Yeah,
really
man.
appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much. And the self-tape challenges are awesome. I'm gonna try to do more of them. And yeah, just keep doing the TikToks, man, because I can't tell you how much they help out. Even the small ones change the game for me. So I really appreciate it.
I'm happy to hear that, and I'll try and keep doing more. At some point, I'll run out of things to say, but
Yeah, I like stopped doing my TikTok like for the last month, but so I get that. But no, it's a good outlet to have.
and if you do have any self tapes or auditions for things coming up, feel free to send them to me, and I'll give you feedback. If you want to send them like before you send them off, I'm happy to like help you out with them.
Oh, I'd appreciate that, man. That'd be amazing. So yeah, thanks so much.
All right, sweet. Have a good night, Christian. I'll speak to you
All
soon.
right, you too. I'll talk to you later.